Today on Third Rate Content, Celtic, Iron Age, wartime chieftains, Roman battles, hill forts, spectacular scenery and the sunshine. Keep watching. So welcome back to Third Rate Content. Today we're in South Shropshire. We're parked in Church Stretton and we've made our way here to the start of our walk up Caer Caradoc, Caradoc's fort in the old language. So we're going to find out some of the history, hopefully take in some of the spectacular views from up there, and find out about the multivate hill fort that's at the summit. So buckle up and I'll see you out here. Yeah, and Caer Caradoc, the subject of today's walk, is a hill that is packed with history, mystery, mythology and folklore, as well as being the site, one of the possible sites of Caratacus's last stand. The hill and the cave that we're going to visit today is also linked with King Arthur. Yeah, we're on the Shropshire Way here, but we're going to be making our way up here, along there, I imagine, and up to the summit of Caer Caradoc. Let's see how it goes. The folklore of hedges is thick. The English folklore of hedges is thick and riddled with the lore of fairies and witches. Because witches and fairies are said to appear regularly from hedges. But if you want to stop witches in your hedgerow, they do say plant holly in it. Because a lot of the folklore of witches is probably from real old crones who knew their way around a certain area very well, knew the ins and outs of hedges and hedgerows, and knew the little snickets and shuts, if you will, through the hedges. And obviously the holly, as you can see here, would stop them, although I don't know how effective it is with the fae folk. There's a stream just over this hedgerow. It's quite dried up at the moment. We've had some pretty hot weather for May, but we're now in early June. It's June the 1st on today's adventure, today's micro adventure. Yes, pretty big drop into the stream, which I'd actually call a ravine here. It's very steep sided. Bah! Yeah, you. Bah! I get one back? Nah. On a sheep. I do hope the sheep didn't go down the ravine. It looks like they might have, or they were just robbing themselves on the wire. But like I said, it goes down pretty far. I imagine in winter that gets filled up with snow, and it actually becomes a torrent, especially when the snow is all melting. So it's at the opposite end of that today. Yeah, the hawthorn. It is the hawthorn. Beautiful flower at this time of year, and it also very significant flower on the trees to our ancestors back in the pagan times, and that, you know, that really significant. Hawthorn gets its name from the Anglo-Saxon word hage dawn, which means hedge thorn. Yeah, you can probably see behind me, the view is already at this early stage of the walk starting to open up over Cardinal Valley behind us, and Church Stretton, and is it all Stratton or Little Stratton? Just here, all the Strattons run into Church Stretton. Hedge thorn or hawthorn was used by farmers in their hedges to protect their cattle from witches. Yeah, and some believed any farm stock kept in a field with hawthorn nearby would thrive. Hawthorn is often referred to as a May blossom, but it doesn't always blossom in May. It used to, but that's because the calendar was changed in 1752. Sheep probably love this water, but I wouldn't recommend drinking it. For human Yeah, it really does look like a ruined fortress or castle up there. Caer Caradoc translates as Caradoc's fort, as I said, in the old language. Yeah, I think that old language would be Britannic. But of course, I am not a card-carrying professional historian. I just do history-themed walks. So I'm learning with you most of the time. That's me presuming that you are actually learning something. You might be a card-carrying historian. I do like this small lake with the island in the middle. Yeah, I watched this awesome movie on YouTube, surprisingly, at the weekend. I've actually forgotten what it was called. It was actually called Blood on Satan's Claw, and you can see here one of the main antagonists, the blonde-haired girl, Angel Blake, wearing a Hawthorne garland and the positive eyebrows. Like early 1970s folk horror, I think the sort of the genre it is, and the people in it, they were like teenagers, all wearing crowns made out of the hawthorn before they did some grisly acts. Pretty good film. I might leave a link to it in the description. Personally, I would, as I've said before, I want to increase the magic in the world, not decrease it. You know, and learning folklore, English folklore, British folklore, folklore from wherever, but obviously the English and British folklores are the ones that are most relevant to this channel. So I do like to be well versed in it, or versed in it somewhat. Yeah, I think that is Cardinal Valley we're looking at, just sort of there. Have to do a walk around there at some point. Yeah, just following the public footpath that just leads into the little valley between the hill, which I've forgotten the name of, next to Caer Caradoc and Caer Caradoc. Just made our way along here, and we're going to ford the stream right here and continue our ascent at Caer Caradoc. Hey, we're over. Wasn't the most difficult fording. So beautiful here. And mystical looking. This really is old England or old Britain. Yeah, the sheep just chilling out here. And why not? Cuckoo. Yeah, I wonder just how long this track has been in use. It could be thousands of years. I don't know, but I do wonder if this track stroke road goes all the way to Wenlock. I'll have to look into that one. It is said the Hawthorne Tree stands on the threshold between our world and the other world, and they are under the protection of the fairies. So if you chop one down to build a house or improve your view, or what is designated a trivial reason, you will invoke the wrath of the fae folk. So do it at your peril. That's the word. Yeah. I didn't actually notice the steps on this side until I got up halfway up. Oh well. Church Stretton in the distance there. Lomond, and we've 3/4 of the way up Caer Caradoc now. Just looking out towards Much Wenlock. The wind is getting up now. So it's All Stratton on the right, Church Stretton in the middle, Little Stratton on the left. And local folklore has it when King James I was passing through the area, he passed through Little Stratton, Church Stretton, then All Stratton. He asked what they were called, and he said, "Why, they're all Strattons round here." And that amusing story is how All Stratton got its name, allegedly. And these volcanic rocks are almost like the gateway into what was the hill fort. And it's worth imagining when you look at the remains of the earthworks surrounding here, that they would have had stakes on them and other defensive positions, and obviously a lot of soil has been blown onto what would have been much more pronounced earthworks. Towards the top of Caer Caradoc. It's visible for miles. It's almost a landmark. I mean, you could see it when we were making our way up the hill, right at the bottom. But this is all volcanic rock, and it shot out of the Church Stretton fault millions of years ago, and it still lies here to this day. It's probably a landmark in Caratacus' day as well, for a lookout point possibly. Yeah, we've still got a bit of a way to go. It probably doesn't look as far as it looks in real life on the camera. We'll just keep going, keep watching. So the hilltop fortress here at Caer Caradoc was a late Bronze Age, early Iron Age fortress. Of course, the Bronze Age ended in Britain when the Romans invaded. Obviously, the Romans were an Iron Age civilization, and they brought it over to Britain, who were still in the Bronze Age. So it was a gradual changeover. Ancient Britain was made up of many tribes and kingdoms, and they were associated with the many hill forts in Britain. These tribes were known for their horsemanship, their fine horsemanship, and their very warlike nature. They were always fighting amongst themselves before the Romans even invaded. Caratacus, or Caradoc, which translates as beloved one, was the son of Consolidate, also known as Shakespeare's Cymbeline. He fought the Romans, who resisted them for several years, and he was supported by the warlike Silures and Overdories. In the year 51, somewhat inadvisedly for a guerrilla leader, he engaged in a pitched battle with the Romans. The Roman army was led by Publius Astorius Scapula, and Caratacus lost. His wife and daughter were captured, but he fled to the northeast of England. There he sought refuge with the Brigantines tribe, but the queen, Cartmandua, handed him over to the Romans. She could see the writing on the wall as vis-a-vis the Roman Empire taking over Britain. Yeah, according to my Google Maps, the cave is just round here, hopefully. Yeah, that looks like the entrance to Caratacus' cave, or Caradoc's cave, however you want to say it. It's not a very big cave, but it certainly would have done if you knew hiding from the Romans. Look at this. Hello, we are the Caradoc Gnomes. Yeah, nice to see you fellas here. And then there's been some offerings made. Congratulations, you have found a letterbox. Please return all items back in the container and return it to its hiding place. So it's one of those sort of treasure finding things. I don't do that at the moment. Well, I don't do it at all. But isn't it great? We're in Caradoc. Because after Caradoc had done hiding in here and the Romans had gone, you know, with the prisoners, he made his way further north to what would now be northern England. and he tried to rally the Brigantines tribe or nation with him to further keep fighting the Romans. But the queen of the Brigantines, and she actually handed Caradoc in chains over to the Romans, and he was taken prisoner and taken back to Italy, back to Rome. Yeah, after he was taken to Rome, he was presented in chains in front of the Roman emperor, but he spoke so eloquently in his defense that he was granted Roman citizenship as long as he didn't ever go back to Britain, and actually spent the rest of his life not as a prisoner. He actually was Romanized, and actually probably spent the rest of his life quite happily living in a Roman villa, although he wasn't allowed to return to Britain because he'd probably stirred up more trouble. But yeah, him and his family did live out their days happily in Rome, probably to a high standard of living as well. And there are King Arthur links with this cave. There's a couple of tales from the Welsh folklore. Obviously, the Welsh folklore was much more extensive than English folklore because the Normans took up a lot of the English folklore. They sort of eradicated it. But the stories are that King Arthur recovers the cauldron of Anwan from the mystical Isle of Anwan, and also a cauldron that was meant to be held by, I think, a hermit in this very cave. It's a fantastic legend. Yeah, and it's thought that these legends predate the first Arthurian romances and could be as early as 900 AD. Yeah, so that is it for third rate content today. We have surmounted the summit of Caer Caradoc here in near Church Stretton, and we've found what for some people is quite hard to find cave of Caradoc. So yeah, it's been a really successful and beautiful and scenic visit to this absolutely stunning part of Shropshire. Like I said, thanks for watching to the end. Hope you enjoyed, but if you're still here now, you probably did somewhat enjoy. If you did enjoy though, please feel free to leave a like, subscribe, and by all means hit the notification bell to keep updated on all future third rate content goings on. And please leave a comment if you'd like. I do love a good comment. I read them all and I reply where appropriate. So if I don't see you soon, I'll see you 3 times as soon. Third rate content signing out. Bye bye.